Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Ultimate General Civil War for part 53, I think it is now, of my Let's Play of the Union Grand Campaign in this brilliant real-time strategy game made by Game Labs, the developers of Ultimate General Gettysburg and Naval Action. In this video, I will be fighting the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse, the famous action which included the fighting around the Mule Shoe salient in the Confederate lines, which is really what this fight is about. It's specifically about the Mule Shoe. But Spotsylvania was a much larger battle than that historically, including an attempt by General Hancock to use his corps to flank the Confederate Army. He successfully got 2 divisions around the Confederate flank, only to be recalled to smash his units forward in a frontal assault against the Mule Shoe salient. With that being said, this particular video is taking place, I believe it's like early May, like May 8th or 9th or something like that. But the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse, or actually maybe it's the 12th, I'm not sure. But in either case, the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse is interesting because it is one of the longest non-siege battles, if not the longest non-siege battle in the American Civil War. Lasting all the way from May 8th to May 21st, this action cost the Union almost 20,000 soldiers and the Confederates 12 to 13,000. Now, this particular video is going to be a piece of a live stream that I did a couple of weeks ago now. As I've been doing for the last several episodes, I'm actually going to go ahead and step out. I'll allow you to hear the audio from the live stream. So again, if you hear me talking to the audience or other things like that, that's because this originally comes from a live stream. In this video, I'll be preparing my army for the actual attack, and then I'll be doing the initial phase of the attack at Spotsylvania. There will be a second part which will come out tomorrow, which will look at the conclusion of the battle. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoy the video. Please feel free to comment and leave your thoughts below as we march forward toward an eventual conclusion of this war. We're in the Overland Campaign, that historical bloodbath of a campaign which Grant continually turned the Confederate flank until he eventually besieged the Confederate forces in Richmond. We are trying to emulate his success, although perhaps a little bit less bloodily. All right, guys, thanks again for watching. Let me know your thoughts below. And with that said, I'm going to drop out and allow you to hear the live stream commentary. All right, guys, thanks. Hello everyone, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to be returning to Ultimate General Civil War. We're returning to our Union Let's Play of the Grand Campaign in Ultimate General Civil War, and thus far we've been the greatest general in the history of the world. Just one defeat to our name. I feel like we're one of those boxers that goes into a match with like a 25-1 ranking. He's a world champion and he's about to go and fight a young contender, and that's kind of what it feels like today. But we're definitely going to get punched up a bit. You know, the boxing metaphor is appropriate because today we're going to be fighting the Battle of the Mule Shoe. We've made it in this campaign all the way through Bull Run, from Bull Run into the Peninsula Campaign, from the Peninsula Campaign to Second Manassas, from there to Antietam, from Antietam all the way through the 1862 and 1863 campaigns of Fredericksburg and Chancellorsville, and I'm skipping the western battles of Stone River. Before that, there was Shiloh, Chickamauga. We've recently fought the Battle of the Wilderness, and now we're on to the Mule Shoe. The war is coming to a close. The Union is closing in on victory, but we need to finish Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia off once and for all. Mule Shoe won't be the last battle, but it is going to be one of the tougher battles. We've got Mule Shoe, we then have Cold Harbor, and then we've got the Richmond Campaign. So we're basically no longer going to be fighting in open fields with stand-up shooting. From here on out, it's going to be entrenchments, and it's going to be bloody. The good thing is, at the last battle, we only lost about 10,000 men. We got about 1,500 of them back because of our bonuses, actually closer to around 2,000 of them back. So we only lost about 8,000 men, and we had 15,000 reserves that were made available to us. So we do have quite a few troops that we can call on. I've already replaced most of our casualties. The 2nd Corps, for example, is all the way replaced out. You can see here they have 41,000 soldiers. The 1st Corps is not all the way replaced. You can see here we only got 36,000 soldiers. The 4th Division I built over strength since the last campaign. Every one of its brigades is 2,500 men. The 3rd Corps, almost every one of the brigades is replenished. The 2nd Division, sorry. The 2nd Division is all built back up. We've got one unit that's kind of got an odd number, and that's because they've got Spencer carbines. And then the first division still needs to be built back up. This is our elite division, our guard division. I don't know if I can rename it. It doesn't look like it lets me rename the division itself. I can rename the units, but not the division here. You can see here the Springfields are nearly a perfect brigade. The Irish Brigade is almost perfect as well, just not quite as good on stamina and melee. The Iron Brigade is nearly perfect. The Black Hats Brigade, not quite as high, but still very good. Only one sort of semi-inexperienced unit in this entire division, and actually that makes me kind of want to swap out a more experienced brigade. Maybe we've moved Deshane in there, and then we let kind of Deering's less experienced soldiers just kind of get replacements on their own. Speaking of which, what do we have in the armory? Let's see here. What do all these guys have? I mean, any of them have M&Js? No. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and replace these guys 1842s with the M&G Type 1. We're going to go ahead and put 2,100 soldiers in here. 2106. This will max them out. They're already a pretty inexperienced brigade. They're a one-star brigade. Most of these stats are pretty low, so I'm just going to go with rookies because, yes, veterans does hurt their morale quite a bit, but it doesn't hurt the rest of it dramatically, in my opinion, and the newer guns will make up, well, it's only $24,000. We'll go with rookies. All right, so there you go. We built Deering back up. You can see here the 3rd Division is now built up, a little bit over strength, but for the most part, 2,000 men is where I want to keep my units. In addition to that, we've got to go ahead and rebuild the 1st Division now, which is almost all experienced troops. So first we're going to start off with some rookies. We'll see what the impact is. We can actually do 259 replacements to the Springfields without losing any of our stats at all. We do have to pay a little bit because we don't have a lot of Springfields in reserve, but we can do that anyway. So we can give 259 replacements without losing a single trait. Actually, we can do a little bit more than that if we kind of click here one at a time. You can see we're losing a little bit on the melee, but I'm less concerned with that. We just lost 1 on stamina. I don't really care about stamina either, so we'll take a little bit of a hit there. And there we lost the first one on firearms, so we'll back that off a bit. We'll spend a little bit more to get 45 more replacements, and there you go, we're up to 1470. Now, after this point, we'll start losing experience. So if I did decide to say, let's just get these perfect troops up to 2,000 men and have them basically at full strength, you can see here the cost would be about $50,000. We've only got 162,000, but we've only got a handful of brigades we still need to build out. So I'm going to do that because these guys have really good weapons. They're a really good brigade, and let's go ahead and just, let's max them up a bit. Additionally, the Irish Brigade, let's see what we can do with these guys. We can get their stamina will bleed off quick with replacements, but their firearms is incredibly high, and their efficiency is very high as well. So we can give them 230 at reasonably, pretty much no cost. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll come back to this in a minute. And then we've got the Spencer Brigade, the 2nd Iron Brigade. Now, the challenge with this brigade is they're not a melee unit at all. They've got rapid-firing rifles, which are terrible for melee. Wow, that takes a big hit. So we can give them 177 without really much expense. Leaves us 228 weapons in the shop. If we wanted to build out the rest of that, 228 cost us about 30 grand. I'm going to do that because I've got a secret weapon that I haven't been telling you guys about. And while we're doing that, actually, let's go ahead and build out this artillery battery back to full strength. So it looks like I'm running low on money, right? And I've still got a few more brigades that we need to build back up. But actually, one thing I forgot to tell you guys is we have a fair number of weapons that we can that we can sell off. At least I think we do. Let's see here. Got some Remingtons, got some Colts. I'll keep those in stockpile, but I am going to sell off the Palmettos. That'll give us 16 grand more. We also have a lot of artillery. So we don't really have room for more batteries at the moment, but we've got plenty of artillery to build more artillery batteries if we wanted to. So what we're actually going to do, the 3rd Corps has 2 artillery batteries. Let's go ahead and build 1 more just so we don't sell more than we really need to. We'll make them... What do we want to do? Parrots, or do we want to do... Parrots seem to be better guns, which is weird, because the 10-pound ordnance was generally considered a superior weapon. But we'll go ahead and build a 24-gun battery of Parrots, just in the off chance we ever need them. So we've got several artillery batteries here sitting in the 3rd Corps. That 3rd Corps will probably never be substantially built out. That should be more than we end up needing ever. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and sell some of our other artillery guns, because again, we don't need them. And we're not going to build new batteries with these guns that are sitting here. We're just going to use use them to replace losses. So with all that being sold off, with those cavalry weapons being sold off, and we'll kind of keep these weapons as is, still leaves us with 94,000 soldiers as is. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with the remainder of the Irish Brigade. If we want to go with the veterans, it's going to cost us almost a big chunk of what we just spent money on. But that's fine. We'll get them up to their 2,000 man strength. The Black Hats Brigade, likewise, is a very good brigade. If we wanted to get them all the way up to 2,000, it would cost us a pretty penny. It would cost us 42,000. It would only leave us with 15,000. So let's not quite do it that way. Let's see where we can... Right now we're at 100 firearms. Let's keep it at 90. Oh, that's a big drop. Oh, that's because of our perks. So we can basically go up to the end of the 3rd perk here, which is 111 men, 111 rookies. Then we can go ahead and use the rest of this. We'll see how much it still costs us if we go. So instead of it costing us in the 40,000s, it costs us in the 30,000s, which is still worth saving a little bit of money over. And then we've got Deschaines' Brigade, which is reasonably experienced, but has a little bit of a buffer here, so we can go ahead and do that for 14,000. And there you go. We've got our force totally built back up. The Iron Brigade is only 1281, but that's because it doesn't have any more guns it can pull from. 1st Corps is now up to 40,000 men. 2nd Corps is 41,000 men. We might want to build some of these units up to be a little bit over strength if we can afford it. Let's see here. If we went with the... Well, this unit has 1842s, so we could actually do that for free. Those 500 men. This unit has Harper's Ferries, which we also have in stockpile, so we can do that for free. Dreen's Brigade is M&Js, which we don't have any in stockpile, so we can't do anything to Bass or Iverson. If we wanted to do Bass, we'd have to do Veterans, or we'd lose that 2nd star, which would be 26,000. We don't have the money for that. Beale is actually using 1842s as well. He's a relatively inexperienced brigade, so we can do that. They're actually good melee weapons, so that may help us with the upcoming battle. We've got 30,000 supply in both these brigades, so you know, I'm okay not dropping that or increasing that. 30,000 supply is more than sufficient. We could sell some of that off and get a little bit more money, but I don't know. I'm not as concerned about that. I'm not going to sell like 20,000 supply and then, you know, equip one unit with a few more men. So that's, I think, about all we're going to do here, at least in this 1st Corps. So the 1st Corps, just shy of 42,000 men. The 2nd Corps, just shy of 42,000 men as well. I guess we'll go ahead and use the money that we have left over to kind of rebuild Lomax's brigade. We're not going to use it this battle, but we'll end up needing it in the next fight. So, there. Alright, so we still have about 5,000 troops in reserve. We don't have much money, but that's okay. We could spend some reputation to get some weapons. We could even, I toyed with the idea of spending some reputation so we can buy some Spencers and then sell the Spencers, basically use the reputation to get money. I don't really feel a need to do that for this battle. Maybe if we were really stretched for cash in a future battle, but not necessarily right now. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the battle map here. We'll go click on the Mule Shoe, and we'll see that we can deploy 2 corps of up to 25 brigades each. You can see here the assault, 1st Corps is the assault, or whichever corps we assign first is the assault corps, and then the 2nd Corps would be the reinforcement corps. I'm kind of tempted to throw my 2nd Corps into the assault. They're a little bit larger, actually. They're 4407. The 1st Corps is 40... Oh, actually, they're a little bit smaller. But the first corps is a little bit more... I'm not really sure if either corps is more experienced. The first division in the first corps is more experienced, and I don't want to get them slaughtered. So maybe we do that. Maybe we throw our second corps in first, then throw our first corps. And then we go from there. We'll have a total of... Why does it say 53,000? Oh, because I'm using the third corps. Dumb. Almost made a big mistake. All right, so the enemy has 51,000 troops in these positions. We will come to battle with more than 30,000 more than them, but they're going to be dug in incredibly strong positions, so we'll kind of have to think how we're going to advance against them. All right, everybody. After the bloody hell of the wilderness, our army, and by the way, the wilderness is probably the last stand-up fight we'll have, our army was ordered to move south and seize the important crossroads at Spotsylvania Courthouse. Lee deployed the rebel army in an extended line of earthworks north of Spotsylvania Courthouse. From the 8th until the 11th of May, all of our attacks against the rebel lines have failed. Their earthworks are reinforced with timber and guarded by artillery placed in such a way to allow enfilade fire on any attacking force. You will lead our next attack on a salient of the rebel line known as the Mule Shoe. Okay, so we're gonna go to battle here, guys. Yeah, I don't think a flank attack is gonna work all that well, guys. General, this rebel position appears to be the weakest in their line. It's a salient in their formation. Jutting out in a horseshoe shape. We have to assault the exposed position and seize the area. If we succeed, we could split the Confederate front in two and cripple their defenses. Oh shit, it won't even... Our reinforcements have arrived! Alright, so all of our troops arrive on the field right away. So, the positive... Well, we don't even really have room to flank it. We could go wide and try and break through here. This area is a little bit more open, but I think we'd take more casualties attacking. Now, the positive is if we go wide and we attack here, you know, we don't have to worry about our flanks being exposed as we advance through the line. Additionally, these frontal units appear to have reserve Confederate positions behind their main line. But honestly, guys, I think I'm just gonna go human waves up the middle, use this wood line here, and try and break through. I'm gonna try and focus the majority of my troops in kind of a wave. Let's see here. So let's see. I want to get kind of good melee guns like the Fife in front, or not the Fife, like the 1842 in front. Which has better, the 1842 or the MJ Type 2? MJ Type 2 is a little bit worse. Alright. I don't want to waste really good weapons like the Springfields or the Enfields if I don't have to. And what will largely be a futile assault. So we're going to have a couple brigades that are just going to get shattered in all likelihood. But I'm kind of searching for the crappy guns. Because generally I arm my better troops with better weapons. Generally. Alright. So, I think... Go ahead and get our artillery kind of here, a little bit in the open. Ah. Let me do anything. Ah. Kind of move these guys up a little bit on the flank of the advance. They'll kind of support and move in as we kind of break through. And also protect us against any kind of surprise Confederate counterattack, which I think is pretty unlikely. Get our artillery here. Kind of try and get our artillery in one spot and mass on the enemy. It's really hard to plan this out. It's such a narrow front. We've got 4 hours, it looks like, to break through and take the objective. So it gives us a little bit of time to set up. I don't want to double quick anyone, because that'll get them to be exhausted. And when you're meleeing, fatigue is important. An important factor. Is there rebel cavalry here? I mean, if we're talking a historically accurate Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse, there shouldn't be much in front of us. I could find them, but I wouldn't think there would be much. I suppose the skirmishers will at least let us scout out ahead of our army. But I wouldn't expect there to be much in the way of Confederate cavalry. Let's just say it would be odd for a large contingent of enemy cavalry to be out there. Okay. I can't have enough manpower to field 3 full corps because I am a butcher and kill all of my troops. Well, there are enemy skirmishers out front here at least. Why are you running away? Enemy skirmishers here. So the enemy does have skirmishers out. Alright, where are other troops? They're all still kind of moving in slowly. It's a lot of rebel artillery, that's for sure. Alright, I want you to halt and I want you to hold. Alright, let's pause and see where we're at. These guys up a little bit. These guys are still moving into position. We had to bring them all the way over from the flank, so they're taking a bit longer. Alright, 63 to... Alright, so our skirmishers are doing their job. Let's make sure we kind of scout out the rest of the front here. Make sure there aren't any surprises as our troops advance through this wooded area, which is where they're going to go. Alright. Enemy skirmishers, that's fine. Alright, so our skirmishers have helped us spot the enemy. Let's stack up now. It looks like it's Yule's brigade. I thought I had another Springfield brigade over here somewhere that I'd just kind of forgotten about. Alright, we are almost ready. Almost there, boys. I do want to try and drive those skirmishers back before we launch our charge. Rebel cavalry spotted. Where? In the rear? Okay, whatever. Okay. We're going to advance the rest of these troops up a bit. We'll come in and flank the enemy if we can break through. We'll see how this all works out. Let's also move some of the artillery up a bit. This is actually historically, by the way, how the Union broke through, is they kind of massed a bunch of troops on a really narrow line. Not going to wait for all that artillery to relocate, by the way. Yikes. Alright, our reinforcements have arrived. Here we go. I don't think I had enough support troops up initially, but we'll see. Alright, boys. This is gonna be bloody. Get Gibbon up there. Whoa. I don't really want to charge on the flank. All right. We've broken through. We broke it through. And now we're flanked. We gotta get in there. Get through there, and then you can fire into the flank of the enemy. We really probably need to break through on a front of two. But they'll be able to easily reinforce their lines. Okay. You guys really need to get through there. Alright, we've broken through on either flank here. Oh my goodness, not what I wanted. Oh god. Just don't do that. Don't be dumb. Don't move way over there. Didn't quite mean to hit that button the way I did. Alright. These are way too many troops for me to effectively command. But we've broken through the first line. We've routed a second Confederate brigade. We've got one more defensive line we need to move through. There's two more brigades here. But we can at least flank these guys with kind of baits going to their front. Gibbon, kind of rally these men. All right, everybody, that'll do it for this first part, looking at the Battle of Spotsylvania Courthouse. Thus far, we've been successful. We've lost some heavy casualties, but we've broken through that initial Confederate position on the Mule Shoe. We're driving into the secondary positions on the Confederate line. We're trying to widen the gap that we have here and trying to drive for the objectives here. So far, so good. It's a little bit of a challenge to get all of my forces forward. There's a lot of troops. It's a little bit of a cluster to try and manage. But we're trying to push through this little narrow opening and, drive the Confederates from their position and take the key objective here a little bit further south on the map. With that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and drop out. We'll look at the conclusion of the battle in our next video. And until next time, guys, as always, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.